Hi guys, welcome back to Alamat, where we tell scary stories from around the world. In today's story, we shall take you to a small village in rural Japan, where an annual lantern festival holds ancient traditions and secrets. Prepare to be entranced by the Lantern Festival. In a remote Japanese village nestled amidst dense forests, steeped in tradition, and surrounded by centuries-old cedar trees. The Lantern Festival was the most anticipated event of the year. Celebrated one July night, it coincides with the darkest night of the year. The village was transformed into a surreal dreamscape as dusk fell. The air was filled with the sweet scent of incense, and a distant echo of a mournful flute music, played by a masked musician, added to the otherworldly atmosphere. Hundreds of glowing paper lanterns illuminated the narrow streets, casting dancing shadows on the moss-covered, time-worn walls. The source of unease came from the belief that on this night, spirits of the deceased returned from the afterlife to visit their living relatives. In anticipation, the villagers set up altars, adorned with offerings of traditional foods, incense, and sake. They hoped to honor and appease these restless spirits, seeking their blessings and protection. Yuki, a curious and adventurous teenager, couldn't help but be fascinated by the lore surrounding the festival. She often wondered what it would be like to encounter a spirit from the other side. Her parents, however, were deeply superstitious and warned her against wandering the streets during the Lantern Festival, cautioning her to stay indoors and not to meddle with the supernatural. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the village square became a sea of softly glowing lanterns. The ethereal glow revealed weathered stone statues that adorned the village shrine, each representing guardian spirits of the land. The music from the masked musician's flute grew even more haunting, adding to the sense of anticipation and reverence. The atmosphere was both enchanting and unsettling, creating a mixture of awe and respect among the villagers. Yuki's curiosity got the better of her, and she decided to venture out into the lantern-lit night. She wandered through the narrow alleyways where lanterns cast eerie, flickering shadows on the ancient moss-covered walls. Her heart pounded with both excitement and fear as she ventured deeper into the village. As she walked, she noticed that some of the lanterns bore family names she recognized from the village's history. Soon, she heard a whisper, a faint, distant murmur of voices that seemed to come from all directions. She turned the corner, and her heart nearly leaped out of her chest. Before her stood a spectral figure, its white kimono glowing eerily in the lantern light. The figure was a woman, her face veiled in the shadows of her long, black hair. Her eyes, however, were as clear as polished stones, and they seemed to pierce Yuki's soul with an inscrutable intensity. Yuki couldn't move. She couldn't even breathe as the ghostly woman approached her. The spirit extended a bony, skeletal hand towards Yuki's face, and she recoiled in terror. The ghostly figure spoke in a haunting whisper. "You should not be here, child. These lanterns are not for you." As the ghostly figure faded away into the night, Yuki could feel her breath returning. She stumbled back to her home, shaken and pale, with the memory of the ghostly encounter etched into her mind. Days turned into weeks, and Yuki couldn't shake the feeling that the spectral woman had somehow marked her. Strange occurrences began to plague her life. Shadows moved on their own, whispered voices echoed in her ears, and the specter of the Lantern Festival spirit continued to haunt her dreams. Her once peaceful nights were now filled with restless apparitions, and her curiosity had unleashed forces she couldn't control. As the next year's Lantern Festival approached, the haunting figure of the spirit returned to Yuki's dreams. She was now consumed by an irresistible urge to follow the ghostly woman into the heart of the festival, even though her parents' warnings echoed in her mind. On the night of the festival, Yuki couldn't resist the call. She slipped away from her home and ventured into the luminous maze of lanterns. The ethereal glow surrounded her, and she felt an otherworldly presence drawing her further into the labyrinth of flickering lights. But as she walked deeper into the village, the lanterns took a sinister hue. The once warm glow turned cold, casting eerie and elongated shadows on the ground. The mournful flute music grew louder, and the chorus of ghostly voices filled the air, chanting in a language she couldn't understand. Suddenly, Yuki found herself at the village shrine where the stone statues seemed to come to life. They were no longer benevolent guardians, but grotesque, nightmarish figures. The masked musician's flute turned into a cacophonous wail that seemed to tear at her very soul. Yuki's heart raced as she realized the festival was not a celebration, but a malevolent ritual. The spirits that returned from the afterlife were not the benevolent ancestors she had imagined. They were malevolent entities that sought to claim her soul, and she had walked into their trap. With a sense of horror and desperation, Yuki tried to flee, but the lanterns closed in around her, forming an impenetrable wall. The spirits, their faces twisted in anguish, reached out to her with spectral hands. As they closed in, their voices merged into a cacophony of agony and rage. The last thing Yuki heard was the haunting voice of the spirit she had encountered the year before, echoing in her ears. "You should not be here, child." The Lantern Festival concludes with a terrifying realization for Yuki, as she becomes ensnared in a malevolent supernatural ritual that seeks to claim her soul. It serves as a chilling reminder that curiosity can lead to unimaginable horrors when meddling with forces beyond one's understanding. Thank you for joining us today on this terrifying journey. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-tingling stories from around the world. And remember, when you tread into the realm of ancient traditions, be prepared for the unknown, for the consequences can be haunting. Stay curious and stay safe.